This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. In last class, we discussed about a menu items concept, right? Today, we are discussing about action menu item. In that action menu item, we are going to creating dialog boxes. So how we need to create a dialog box and how we will use it and all, we will discuss it. So why we are using dialog box and what is the necessity of creating dialog box here? Coming to this concept, for example, I just want to interact with the database or interact with the data. Then we don't have a direct option. We don't have a direct option. So we need to design a dialog box. Through that dialog box, we need to interact with the data. For example, I have a employee table. In this employee table, we have so many columns are there. Let me open the employee table. I just want to fetch some of the data from this particular table. Then we have to design one dialog box with necessary fields. So here my requirement is I just want to retrieve who are having the date of birth from in a certain period from date to date. For example, if I'm giving first month, so first month date of birth, like this record, and this record. So we need to fetch these three records. So if I have given a date range of a first month, if I have given a date range of a second month, so we will get these two records. So what we need to do, we need to create one dialog box like this. Okay, from date field we need to create, and to date field also we need to create. Here there is a submit button and there is a cancel button, right? End user will enter the data in this field and in this field. When he clicks OK button, automatically whatever the business logic we have written inside the dialog box, that will execute, and whatever you want, that will display. Now I'm going to creating this kind of dialog box for the same requirement what we discussed right now. For that requirement, we will create. I'm creating a dialog box. Now that dialog box I'm going to creating in runnable class. I mean in job level. Creating a new item. Go to the code. I'm creating a runnable class, and here I'm taking like sample dialog code. Okay, sample dialog code. Now here, first of all, we need to access a few system classes. We have a dialog is a class. Dialog is a class. Okay, it's a predefined class. So this class I'm accessing and creating an object for the dialog equal to new dialog. So this is the way you can create an object for the class. For example, for table, how we are creating EMP table, just we are defining one object like EMP LOC kind of thing. That is the instantiation of the table. But here for the class, we need to declare like this: dialog DLG equal to new dialog. This is the way we need to create a object for the dialog. Okay, here one more class is there. Dialog field. So here in dialog box, how many fields you required? For example, we are going to implementing some of the requirement, like when I'm giving from date and to date, according to that system, according to that we need to fetch the data from the EMP table, right? So here we required two columns, from date and to date. Okay, now that's what I'm creating. df1, df2. df1 we can treat as a from date. df2 we can treat as a dialog field 1, dialog field 2. Okay, or else you can write df underscore d from date underscore d to date, something like whatever you want you can write it, not a problem. Okay, and here df1 equal to dlg dot add field. We are going to adding field to the dialog box. Here it is asking identifier name. Actually the identifier name would be either extended data type or base enumerator. So here we need to create a from date field, I mean date field. So if we have any extended data type related to date, that we can use it. Already we have an extended data type called from date. It is a predefined extended data type that I'm going to using as a identifier name. Okay, identifier name from date comma field label. I mean, what exactly you want to provide the label to that particular field. So I'm giving the label as from date. Okay, from date. So field help text, everything is not required. You just close the bracket and move to the next field. df2 equal to dlg dot add field. Again, I'm adding one more field. Again, I'm using the same extended data type from date, comma. This time I'm using label as to date. Okay, I'm using same extended data type. Whenever you want to create a date field in the dialog box, you can directly use from date and set the label. Whatever the label you require, you just set the label beside there. Okay, and here now if dlg dot run, if I run the dialog box, okay, what I need to do, I need to fetch the data from the emp table. So we need to declare emp table emp loc. Here I am writing a business logic while select emp loc where emp loc dot emp id equal to okay, sorry, date of birth, right? dob greater than or equal to df1 dot value. I mean in dialog box, uh, in dialog box we will provide the value, right? That value we can take it as a df1 dot value. df1 is a reference of the from date, df2 is a reference of the to date. So if you want to get the value reference dot value, okay, df2 dot and emp loc dot dob less than or equal to df2 dot value. Okay, now I'm just writing info statement to print the selected records. %1, %2, %3. Okay, like um, df1 dot value, df2 dot value. Okay, emploc dot empid. That's it. Okay, now I will try to execute this. What is that? But actual type is date. Just a second. Oh, here we need to provide the conversion function name extended type str. Okay, extended type str from date. Just a second. I have written from date, comma here from date. Okay, here also. Here, let's take to date. Okay. Now let's execute this code, sample dialog code, make this object as a startup object, and run the program.
You did not change the extended type for to date.
No problem. We can provide from date, but we are giving label, right?
Yeah. So
To date.
yeah. So this one, this from date should already exist, or it will create a new one. So generally,
No,
we'll
no,
take
no.
an
It is already existed. That's
yeah,
what I told you. Predefined.
yeah.
You can use
System defined, is it?
system defined. System defined in the sense, not exactly. We should not call it as system defined. See, some of the objects are predefined objects will be there. I mean, uh, there are system related extended data types will be different, and application predefined data types are different. Application user defined data types are different, like that.
So means Arjun, if it is system defined, then why it is named as from date? Why it is not named as means standard date or get date, something like that? From date
No,
just is confusing. Is it system defined or
it
what?
will not return a particular date. This is the data type name. How exactly we are defining? Suppose if you want to define a date value dynamically, okay, then you can consider from date. From date is a predefined extended data type. Already we have discussed about the extended data type concept initially.
Right. That's right. And Arjun, I had one more question here that you just decided dialog box. Okay, so
Yes.
dialog box is basically a model form. Means, is it something like if we have requirement to show some like a model form, then we can use this dialog box. Is it something like this?
No. Form concept is different. Forms are different and dialog boxes are different. Dialog boxes are used for doing some action. Here I'm performing some action. What kind of action I'm performing?
Like if I am calling this dialog box from my employee master form, then
No.
then unless I just hit the OK or cancel button, I can't go back to a employee master form. Is it something like this, or
No, that
can
is different. That is different. That we can use it box class, not dialog box. The dialog box, in dialog box we have a dialog fields will be there. Dialog in dialog box we have dialog fields will be there. In that dialog fields we will enter some inputs. For example, in C language or C++, we have a scene concept, scanf concept will be there. What is that?
yeah yeah I
To
know
get
that
the
it is.
value from the user, right? For example, you want to calculate two values sum. So end user needs to enter the value, right? Value A, value B. So then we will get the total A plus B. So that is the reason we are designing this kind of user interface. In C language, we have a scanf functionalities there. What is that? To read the values from the user, from the screen. But we don't have that kind of facility directly in our Dynamics 365. So that is the reason we are creating dialog boxes.
But does it get like a model form? If I'm calling it from a parent form, then I can't go back to the parent form unless
No,
I hit the OK or cancel button.
see, you are bringing another technology into here. Really, I am not understanding what is that model form and all.
Okay, I was just willing to know that if I'm calling it from a parent form, then
I will tell you a couple of requirements. I'll tell you a couple of examples. You definitely understand it. See, it is a straight away requirement. I'm a client. Okay, I just want to see this month date of birth. Who are having date of birth? Who are having birthdays? I just want to see what I need to do. I need to search manually in the database. At that moment,
No,
what I will do, so I will ask the
I got
developer,
this.
create one
Yes, yes.
dialog box. Okay, give some date fields. So I will enter my own dates here from date and to
Yeah,
date.
actually, it basically works as a filter criteria. Am I right?
Not exactly
Filter.
filter, not exactly filter. According to these parameters, we are connecting to the database and we are doing some action. Here, I'm doing action to fetching the data. In some cases, maybe I will calculate something on the database. What I will do, in between these dates, whoever existed, I will add some bonus to that employee salary. I want to see this month transactions. I want to create a report in between these dates who are having date of birth, or I just want to see the invoices or completed invoices or failed invoices or pending invoices in this month. There are a number of things will be there, but here my my point is why we are using dialog box and what is dialog box. In dialog box, we will create fields. Through that fields, we will interact with the database. That requirement, something else. I cannot say this is the requirement. Only we will use dialog box. We have a number of requirements will be there for a dialog box related. In this requirement, I'm explaining you to get the data who are having date of birth in between these dates. Another requirement is there. I want to add some bonus, 1,000 rupees bonus to who are having who are joined in this date range. I will increment 1,000 rupees salary. So we need to calculate something in the backend. Okay, I want to see pending transactions in between these date range. I want to cancel all the pending transactions who are having in this date range. I want to delete the data. I want to delete all the transactions in between this date range. Every requirement is different. I told you 5 to 6 requirements right now.
So Arjun, where these basically the fetched record, the output will be displayed.
Output will be displayed on the screen itself right now. When I click on OK, it is showing here. See.
Oh, this way. So can't we see in the form of grid?
That's what I'm see. We cannot show. We cannot render a form through dialog box. Not possible. Okay, but we can render this output into the report.
So let's say if in this data range, if there are hundreds of records, right? Then this will display in the same way that you showed just now.
No,
That
just
will
what
not
I
be
mean.
useful for the user.
Of course, here what I'm explaining, I have a dialog box. From date and to date fields are there. I'm giving some input. According to that input, we are getting some records, some output, right? This one I'm showing in the user interface, directly in the form itself. You are asking me to show in the grid, not possible. I can show this
Even
data
in form.
in the report itself. That is possible.
Okay.
Because if you want to show in a form, how form dynamically generate? Form is a static object. Form is not a dynamic object. We need to design the controls. We need to create a grid control. We need to attach the data source. How it will do all the things in the runtime. How we made a form. We have created a table. We have created a form. We have attached the data source. We have designed the controls. Okay, we have taken the grid control. We have attached all the properties and we dragged the fields from data source to design all these things. Okay, we need to build the project. We need to build the form. Everything we need to do like this. When I click on OK button, how form will generate dynamically. It is not a .NET. In .NET, it is possible. When I click on OK button, it will show in a grid control, because there are a dynamic controls will be there, like telltale controls, something like in .NET applications. But it is a already predefined application, everything. If you want to create a form, you need to create manually. We cannot develop a form at runtime. It is runtime. So I can show this result in the report itself. Mostly this kind of dialog boxes are using for performing actions. It is an action actually. That's what we have. Three different menu items are there. Display, yesterday we have seen, like to display the data, right, in the form of forms. That is one scenario. Second scenario, action menu item. As yesterday we discussed about display menu item. Second one, action menu item, which is related to performing actions like bulk operations. Okay, I just want to calculate all the employees' salaries at a time. What I need to do, I will create one dialog box. Okay, in this dialog box, like from which date to which date I need to calculate the salary. Okay, and employee type field, I will create a combo box. I will select here permanent employees, temporary employees, contract employees. So I will create another something like another fields. Finally, I will click on OK button. According to these values, we will write select statements, while select statements. So all the employees will selected, and for every employee, salary will be calculated, and it will post in the some table. It will post in some table, so that we can go to that table and we can see the data. I mean, of course, we will create a form for that.
So
We can
from the table we can. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Yes, tell me.
No. From the table you can also select. So for example, we have a requirement where customer wants to select something in the dialog box and click, and if he clicks on OK, he want to show it in a form. So what he'll do, he'll send it to a table, and then from table he'll send it to form, right? So does not work. Dialog box does not work like that. It works, right?
See here, what I'm saying,
Hmm.
we will push the data to the table. Finally, whatever the records we have selected after calculating the salaries, okay, this employee in this date range, this is the salary, this is the deductions, okay, this is the final CTC. Like that, I will create one record. That record I will send to the salary table. Okay, so for example, in our office we have 100 employees, so the 100 records will be created. Once you execute here, if you just go to directly that format, you can see the data. You are asking me to, when I click on OK button, I need to open the form, right?
No, yeah.
That we can make it, but we finally you need to send the data to the table, right? Only
Yeah.
we can send the data to the table. Maybe how we will open and when you will open, that is in your hand.
Hmm.
So I mean, I'm not saying that you are thinking in your mind maybe another technology's knowledge, but all the things will not be possible here. We cannot develop a form at runtime. To develop a form, we have to do so many things in our application.
No.
We have to create a form manually and attach the data source, design the controls, everything is there. How can we design how can we design a form at runtime dynamically every time one form will generate if you create like that.
No, I'm not saying one form. So if you click on new button, this dialog form will open. If you click OK, these records will come and for open in this form. That's what I'm saying. You get my point?
New button.
Yeah, when you click on new button, this dialog box will open. He'll type in the values, he'll click OK, and these values will come in the form. This dialog box will close and the form will be the same.
That is new record option, right? That is new record option.
But yeah, that's when I click on the new record, this dialog box will open.
Requirement. That is different requirement.
That is different.
Here I'm saying calculating the salaries. So I will create separate button control. Separate button control. When I click on the separate button control, this dialog box will open in the form. Simply, okay, fine. Just give me a moment. I'll show you that. Okay. Don't get confused. Okay, I'm copying everything. This code. Simply, let me open the employee form. Okay, here simply I'm creating a button control. I'm creating a button control, and in the button control clicked method, I'm pasting the code. Okay, now
We can use display fields here.
what is that? Display fields.
Yeah.
Display fields means?
I mean to say the display method you had taught us. You had taught 2 days back, and we can use a static field. I think you had given example of adding a real time, field on the UI, and then bind to the data source, and then showing the value by using the display keyword in the subroutine.
Of course. I mean, you want to create a field with fixed value?
Yes, actually, on the basis of date range, if you are going to get some static data, that is a single row data, then we can also show by using this method. You are accordingly taught 2 days back. Yeah.
Different concept. The display method, it is a program. The display method we are going to using for display the value. That's it. But we cannot show direct complete record.
Okay.
Let me open this form. I mean, I think Harsha, you asked me a new record option. For new record also, we can create dialog box that is available in the employee master, customer master, vendor master for creating a customers, vendors, and employees also.
Yeah.
That we can make it. That is also dialog box.
So that and this dialog box are completely different, right?
Yeah, we can make we can make like this. When you click on a new button, a system will open one dialog box. In that dialog box, we will enter the values. Okay. When you click on OK button, that dialog box will close and record will create automatically.
Yeah.
Okay. Now here, see, open DOB dialog. When you click here, see.
Yeah.
Now I will enter the values when I click on OK button. So data will fetch. In the form level, we are showing the data, but the destination you need to decide. Okay, business logic, I told you. So maybe client will ask you to show the data in the report, or ask you to show the data in a separate form. That you people decide.
Okay. So this is so the new one and this are completely different, right? So they're the same
The
dialog box.
coding is different.
Oh.
Coding is different, but same dialog class we need to use, dialog field class we need to use, everything that is common.
Okay.
That is common, but whatever you asked me, that I can make it in a different way. That also I'll tell you. That requirement also I'll tell you after few classes. But I cannot create a dialog box. I can create dialog form for that.
Okay.
Dialog form is there. In our forms, we have seen simplest form, simplest details, table of contents, list page. In the same way, we have a form called dialog. We have a form called dialog. I will create dialog form for your requirement. I cannot create a dialog box through code. I will design one form which is related to dialog form. Maybe after telling that, and Jitendra doubt and your doubt will be clarified, I think.
Hmm. So this one for batch jobs and all will be using this
Yes,
dialog box.
exactly. Yes. To perform actions.
Yeah.
Batch job in the sense batch processing, like or like I just want to cancel all the pending invoices of the last month.
Yeah.
Okay, automatically it will happen. We will set the time. We will set the time. According to that time, system automatically execute that code. No need to execute manually. That I will tell you. Okay.
Yeah, Arjun, actually you just mentioned that for that purpose we are talking about dialog form will be required, not dialog box.
Yes. For new record creation. Here. Okay.
I mean, how to make the start date, end date or mandatory?
Sorry, your voice. Come again.
How to make start date and end date or mandatory?
Feels mandatory. That I will explain you. Wait a minute. I will explain you. For example, when we are talking about okay, let me change the company name. Okay, when you click on new button, okay, see, this is dialog form. Hire new worker form. Got it? It is not a dialog. Okay, it is a dialog form. That's what we have. Different button controls are there.
Hmm.
In dialog box, we can only see cancel button, okay button. That's it.
Hmm.
We cannot customize the button controls even. Have we written any code for okay button, cancel button previously? No, that is default. We haven't discussed about button controls, right, in the dialog box.
No.
But OK button, submit button, and cancel button came into the dialog box by default, right?
Yeah.
But here, when you see hire and add details, cancel, like this is dialog form.
Yeah.
Pattern is dialog. I'll show you. When you go to the patterns, apply pattern,
Dialog. Yeah.
there is dialog basic, right? This one.
Hmm.
We need to create this pattern, dialog basic. Okay. There is
Yeah.
a drop dialog is there. Okay. Drop dialog that I will show you right now. When you click on create eligibility event,
Hmm.
this is drop dialog form. If you want to design this form, you need to select the pattern, this one, drop dialog. If you want to create, when you click on the new button, it is opening this form, right? This is dialog basic. It is a
So
form.
So this dialog basic dialog form can also be open through any button control.
Yes,
Is it,
yes,
is it different? Okay.
yes. We can open from any button control. I mean any button control in the sense form, right? It is a menu item button will support because it is not a code. Okay, so menu item button will support display menu item button. Previously, I have opened this dialog box through button control. Did you observe that?
Yeah, so through same way I'm saying through when you click on this, instead of this dialog box, dialog form can be opened.
Button control will not support. Menu item button will support. There is a dialog form is there, right? That dialog
Yeah.
form, it is a form. So form I cannot open through button control because there is an issue with the parameters. Button control doesn't carry the parameters. For example, previously I have selected a Kavita record. Okay, I'm clicking on employee loans. So automatically we are seeing Kavita records here because when we are clicking on the employee loans, system able to carry the arguments from parent form to child form through menu item button. In this place, button control will not work. Only we have to use menu item button, and we cannot implement this requirement through button control. If you want to implement, we need to write code, and in code we cannot pass arguments. That is impossible. That is really headache. So we have a straight requirement is there. No need to write huge lines of code. Directly select a record, clicking on the menu item button, it will open a form with the relevant records. And previous requirement also, when I click on new button, it is default new button. It is default new button. It is like a command button actually. New button is a command button. And one more thing, this button I cannot customize.
Okay, so if we put another command button on the form, so through that command button we can also open
No,
dialog form.
see here command button, through command button we cannot open the form.
But here
This
you
button,
are doing this, right?
no, this
So
button act like a command. Suppose if I am not integrating that form, I can create a record, right? I can create a record. Okay, let me show you here. Hire worker. What is this? This is button control,
button control.
menu item button, or command button? Tell me.
It's a command button.
Right. When I click on hire worker, it is creating a record. It is command button. Now this is okay. I'm clicking on new button. This is also creating a record, right? So what can I say? It is a command button, or what kind of button I need to say? That's what I'm telling you. So you can treat it is a command button. Maybe whatever they have taken inside inside the kernel level, whatever the type they have taken, we don't know really. But we can use it in this case. In this case, we can use it for creating a record, for opening a form, both. We can resolve both issues. We can use it in a both ways. When I clicking on new button, init value method will call. In that init value method, I will try to no, not required. Any coding is not required. Simply we need to trigger the form in the properties. That's it. I think in the if you go to the data source, there is a property. If you just set the property, automatically your form will open. That form name we need to set up. See here, show new button. Okay, show new button, show delete button, and default action. Default action. Default action. If I select for which one, specify the default action to execute on the form when enter keys. What is that? Key is pressed. Key is pressed. Here we need to set up the property. That's it. I mean,
Where are you
use
looking for the properties of these options?
this one, design properties.
Oh, no, the details about these properties. Where are you looking for?
Here below. When you select here, for example, I'm selecting default action. In the default action, specify the default action to execute on the form.
Okay.
The enter key is pressed. We have enter key right in the keyboard. When you press enter key, what should happen? So we need to select that. I mean, default action.
So in
And
default action, we can also add another button here, command button.
yeah, default action, already that button should available in the form. In the default
Right.
action, hire worker is there, open dialog is there, personal information there. So all the buttons will show. But when you press enter key in the keyboard, what you want to execute, you are linking with enter button with your existing button control, that you can make it. So I'm just trying to tell something, another thing. Okay, I'll verify that and I'll tell you. And whatever you asked me, like for new button, when you click on the new button, dialog box is opening, right? So you just set the property, that's it. If you set the property, that is more than enough. No need to write any piece of code. That I will tell you in the next meeting itself. Okay, so this is all about a dialog box. Oh my god, actually this is a 10 minutes concept. I told 1 hour, almost 1 hour.
So Arjun, hello.
Tell me.
So you were telling about this drop down dialog box, right? Some other thing. So here for create eligible event, for example, under worker. So other drop down will come out. So for that to work, you will create a menu item and create an action here,
No,
or
no, no.
how?
It is not a menu item button. Drop dialog button.
So
That
we'll create a new form and hello.
we have not discussed yet about this concept.
Okay,
It is a drop dialog button. It is not a menu item button. I told you
okay.
we have 5 types of button controls are there.
Yeah.
So that is the bad thing here, really, because okay, we will get confusion what kind of button control we need to use for which requirement.
Hmm. Yeah.
In other technologies, only one button control will be there. We have to use everything for only that button control itself. But
Yeah.
here we have 5 types. It is a drop dialog button. Okay, it is command button, and previously we have written a code. This is dialog button control. Okay, it is something like menu button. Menu, because we have a menu items are there, right? Items. So it is called as a menu button. Okay, and this is we are dropping a dialog So this button control is drop dialog button. Drop dialog button. When you go for new, see here, we need to create this button control and we need to attach that drop dialog form. So for a drop dialog button, to open drop dialog form, we need to create a drop dialog button. So both are pair combination.
Yeah.
Only we can set it up like that. If you want to show like that a form, simple form, you need to create a drop dialog form. Pattern we need to select. Drop dialog. Okay. To link with the button control, we need to create a drop dialog button. That one requirement I'll tell you. One example I will tell you in the next meeting itself, next or day before it. After that I'll tell you one requirement. Okay guys, okay, please practice it. Okay, we'll see the next requirement in the next meeting.